Alright guys, for this video, we are going to cover this video suggestion, Michael Pittman year one target expectations versus Campbell versus Hilton. I think it would be a lot more interesting if we just look at Michael Pittman as a prospect versus Parrish Campbell and try to identify which ones we should prefer to have on our Dynasty team. Now, let's get into it.
That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Alright guys, before we get into the video, I just want to say one thing real quick. I am a little biased in this video. I was completely off of Parrish Campbell his rookie season, and I made strong points about that. So I'm going to try to be objective for where I stand now because we have more data points. Maybe things have changed. Obviously, I don't really have a strong take on Michael Pittman at this point, but let's get into it, and I'll try to be as objective as possible. And first, let's start with Michael Pittman, who's currently 22 years old. He was selected with the second pick in the second round of the NFL draft, so he has fantastic draft capital, something that really is talked about a lot when people discuss guys like N'Keal Harry, yet Michael Pittman selected, 2 picks after, and it's a completely different story. He's 6'4", 223 pounds, and he ran a really good 40 at the NFL Combine. That's what put him on the scene for most Dynasty players. If we size adjust his speed, it's actually in the 93rd percentile, and we look at this overall profile and say this is something that the NFL is lacking. Rarely are we seeing that these 6'4" guys with speed can come in and be successful. And just because we don't get many of these 6'4" guys with speed who can run a full route tree, and that's what drove his NFL value to get him selected with the second pick in the NFL draft. I'm sorry, the second pick of the second round in the NFL draft. But let's get into what he did in college, because y'all know I say it video after video. It's more important for these wide receivers coming into the NFL to have production for me. I do not necessarily care too much about their athleticism. I would much rather see production at this position. For the running backs, it's a little bit different. But Michael Pittman, his freshman season, he pretty much had no production whatsoever. We're going to completely skip past it, go to his sophomore year, where he averaged about 2.5 receptions a game and 45 receiving yards a game. So right away, we see that he's being efficient with the receptions he's getting. He's working downfield and going over and working near the safeties on the other team, where we're going to see him transition out of this later on in his collegiate career. His junior year, he bumps it up to 4 receptions a game, 76 yards a game. So he's still working in the deep quadrants of the field. He's still going out there and putting up highly efficient yards per reception stats. And this is what we want to see. We want to see the talent per target. In his senior year, this is where it gets interesting for me. So Michael Pittman changes the kind of wide receiver he is. He's starting to work more of the full route tree, starting to work closer to the line of scrimmage, and he actually averages almost 8 receptions a game and about 100 receiving yards a game. So this is something that I know a lot of people are going to speak on as being a pro with Michael Pittman. They're going to say, hey, look, he can do it all, and he really transitioned. But some people are going to say that it's not a good sign, and saying that we want these wide receivers to really excel in one thing at this point in today's NFL. And it does not necessarily matter how diverse they are with the entire route tree. And I don't know where I really stand on this. This is something that I want y'all to go down there and I want y'all to let me know. And I would really want to hear a good explanation on why one side would be right over the other, because I know it's a conversation that is most likely happening on other podcasts. But let's get into the other guy we are comparing him with, Parrish Campbell, who was a rookie last season. He's still the same age as Michael Pittman. He was an extremely young rookie coming in. He's only 22 years old. He was selected with the 27th pick in the second round of last year's draft. And he's 6 foot, 205 pounds. And what the story is with Parris Campbell is he's just an absolute athlete. He's pretty much in the 99th percentile in every athletic measurement that he tested at the NFL Combine. And we see Parris Campbell, similar to Michael Pittman, stay all 4 years in college. But the difference is, for some reason, Parrish Campbell got to Ohio State at an extremely early age. I couldn't find any information on this why, but nonetheless, his freshman year, very similar to Michael Pittman, no production whatsoever. His sophomore year, he was actually only able to put up 1 reception in 10 yards a game. So this is something that we don't want to see. We want to see these wide receivers getting on their team a little bit early, but we can write it off for Parrish Campbell just because he was such a young sophomore at Ohio State, and we know this is a team that has a ton of talent around it. His junior year, he's really starting to make a role on himself with this roster, and he averages 3 receptions a game, 45 yards a game. Senior year, he bumps it up to about 6.5 receptions a game and 75 yards a game. Now we look at really the competition that both of these wide receivers played with, because it's hard to say just one for one what wide receiver had a better college career. But we see Michael Pittman play with Equanimeous St. Brown's little brother, who I know most people have not heard of before, but he is a stud at USC. And this is why Michael Pittman really had to transition to a different style of play in his senior season. He was playing with another top NFL wide receiver prospect. So we see that Michael Pittman has this on his resume, but then we look at Parrish Campbell, and he played with Terry McLaurin at Ohio State. And we know that it doesn't matter how good of a prospect Equanimeous St. Brown's little brother is. Terry McLaurin was most likely the better wide receiver at the time that he played with Parrish Campbell than we see at USC. So I'm going to confidently say that Parrish Campbell had more competition to play with at Ohio State than Michael Pittman had at USC. But we also have to understand that Parrish Campbell had a lot better quarterback play at Ohio State. I know that we did not necessarily expect Dwayne Haskins to fall to I think it was 15th in the NFL draft last offseason. We expected him to go at 6 with the New York Giants. Now, do y'all remember the draft day story, them taking Daniel Jones and everybody losing their minds watching Dwayne Haskins fall? Yet we see that it doesn't matter. Dwayne Haskins was a fantastic college quarterback. We don't really care about his NFL prospects stance at this point. But let's get into what we believe that these wide receivers can do in Indianapolis. And this is where it gets a little bit more confusing. Because I think if we look at both of these players just from a straight prospect profile, I think Michael Pittman definitely has the edge over Parris Campbell, even though Michael Pittman is going later in rookie drafts this season than where Parris Campbell went last offseason. But it just speaks to the talent that's in this 2020 draft class, and it speaks to how many wide receivers are in this draft class. I mean, who was Parris Campbell really competing with last offseason in rookie drafts? He was going behind N'Keal Harry very confidently. He was going behind A.J. Brown and right next to DK Metcalf. So we know that A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf were able to come on extremely strong their rookie seasons and show that they are definitely have a better chance of success than any individual rookie wide receiver coming in 2020. Yet we did not know this at the time, and we perceived that they were just average with Parris Campbell, and that drove Parris Campbell up 2019 rookie draft boards because there was just a lack of talent around him. Where we look at Michael Pittman, I think people in their biases are remembering selecting Parris Campbell in the first round of their rookie drafts last offseason, and then looking at Michael Pittman fall to the mid-second round this offseason, and just kind of assuming that coming out of high school, Parris Campbell was a better prospect. But we have to understand that it's just because there are so many wide receivers in this 2020 draft class. We have CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, Justin Jefferson, Jalen Reagor, T. Higgins, Henry Ruggs, Denzel Mims. I mean, we have a long list of guys. And I think Michael Pittman is definitely at the top of that tier 2. But if he was in that 2019 draft class and he has the same statistics and testing athleticism coming out, I believe that Michael Pittman would have actually been a first-round draft pick last offseason, where we see Parris Campbell be a late second round. But that's all speculation, and all we can do now is look ahead to the 2020 season. And why I'm going to really confidently take Michael Pittman over Parris Campbell on my Dynasty roster is that we look at Parris Campbell in this Colts offense, and we see them have T.Y. Hilton, who I've been on record saying that I believe T.Y. Hilton is pretty much washed at this point. If you look at his efficiency statistics, they've fallen off a map. But nonetheless, he plays a very similar role to Parris Campbell, and we know that T.Y. Hilton is going to have that starting role on the Indianapolis Colts roster in 2020. So if we're looking at Parris Campbell taking up the backup role to T.Y. Hilton, on the opposite side of the field, what are they missing? They're missing a big-bodied guy. They just lost Eric Ebron. They are really unsure if they can rely on Jack Doyle in 2020. Jack Doyle's dealt with a lot of injuries. They're going to have to go out there. They're going to put Michael Pittman on the field more than Parris Campbell in year one. It doesn't matter that Parris Campbell's been on the team before. It doesn't matter that he already has the rapport with the coaching staff. I believe that Michael Pittman is going to be the guy day one. Parris Campbell may have his role. He may have his time to shine next year in 2021 or down the stretch in 2020. But to start off, it's going to be the T.Y. Hilton and Michael Pittman show in 2020 in Indianapolis. So because of this, I'm going out there and confidently selecting Michael Pittman over Parrish Campbell in Dynasty leagues and not really thinking about it. Michael Pittman has the better college profile, and he also has the better route to targets in 2020, even though he is a rookie and Parris Campbell is that sophomore wide receiver. Now, thanks, guys. Really hope y'all enjoyed the video. I really hope y'all are enjoying these video formats. If you are, make sure you leave a comment. Let me know. And yeah, if you want to go in there and you want to have a Dynasty discussion, the place to be is our Discord chat, which you will be able to find in the description. And have a great day, guys.